construction project. I mentioned this project yesterday. How we have used technical support organization in this construction project. So as a general, I try to describe what is the use of ESOs and IOs in our organizations, and then some international practices, and as I mentioned, the saltwater tree project. So what is technical support organization? I think you know that this term. Is it familiar to you? Yeah. So, and inspection organization also. So no problem. Yeah. Okay, please. You see, you have to have several technical disciplines in use in your organization, but that is not, in many cases that is not possible. You have limited resources, limited budget, so you have to have some other tools to use, for example, external experts, international or national. So the practice in Finland that we can use all kinds of experts, external experts. So you are a newcomer organization. So you have to do now the decision about the structure of your own organization and how you will use technical super organizations. So to divide what is needed to your own organization and what are outsources. That decision has to be made now. So outsourcing can, as I mentioned here, it can be recommended to those disciplines which are very, very highly specific, or the expertise is needed just once or twice in a project. And this is just comment for regulator. The regulator cannot delegate the responsibility to the technical support organization. Okay. What to do when you need some external experts? You have to consider that the expert has competence and references to do that work you ask he or she to do. Then it's relevant that the organization, external organization, has resources to do that, what you ask, what is asked by the contract, in a timely manner. Yeah. And then most important issue is in many cases that the expert or the external expert organization is totally independent. The organization shall have no connections to the issue you are now at that time discussing. Nothing to do with that. And most important is also that the organization has quality management system. Okay, please, next. Normally, regulator, just like in Finland, we need two kinds of external organizations, two kinds of tasks, or two kinds of tasks. First one is reviewing the safety-related design documentation. This is a huge task to be done. And the next one is even bigger, in our case, to review those manufacturing documentation and perform the inspections of components.
Jouko,
Yes.
do you know what is missing?
Nothing.
The requirements, for instance, for siding that they are going to face the first. That's the requirement specifications.
Yeah, okay, but
Yes,
maybe
it's
that's,
missing.
you didn't ask that.
Ah, you should know.
No.
You are the regulator.
Yes, please. You can continue. So, how to use domestic or international external organizations? That depends in many cases of the country. So, but to use international TSOs, it has some benefits or many benefits. As I mentioned here, you get better understanding and confidence for the issues. Even you have a double checking this. This is relevant also for you. You should have a national research program for training a new specialists. We discussed about this morning. So to have this kind of technical support organization, that helps you to establish this program. And this is for the knowledge management point, very important with the countries without the nuclear industry. So, Stuki's organization, I mentioned yesterday that we have 160 experts for oversight nuclear power plants in Finland, for nuclear facilities in Finland. So we have resources, human resources for most of the activities we have to perform. But so, however, we are using, as I mentioned, independent assessment, analysis, and other works, which are ordered from technical support organizations. So, however, we don't have experts on all the diseases, and there is no sense to have, or the organization will be 300-400 experts. Okay, please. When you have this kind of policy to use technical support organization and inspection organization, then you have to have your management system, procedures, how to select, assess, and control these organizations so that you can ensure the quality of the output, what the organization is producing. So you can count on that. So we have contracts just only with the contractors or organizations which have to be audited or otherwise qualified organizations. And we have a responsibility to follow what the technical support organization is doing. We have to ensure the quality, as I mentioned. Please, next one. It's good to know that the STUK is also pressure vessel authority in Finland. So we are performing a lot of inspections related to pressure vessels. So, and we have a lot of inspections for the construction phase, manufacturing, installation, and commissioning, and operation phase. And all these inspections are defined in our guides. So, okay, please. So, we use inspection organization, several of those, because there are, I think, more than 10,000 inspections per year, pressure vessel inspections, all over the world, and of course at the site. So we use, I guess we have nowadays something like 6 or 7 inspection organizations in use. And those organizations are performing those inspections which are related to safety, to component safety classification 2 or 3. And STUK is performing all inspections to the components safety class 1, so primary. So
think that Jouko, it would be worthwhile you to explaining why you have such amount of inspections all over the world. That this is definitely because you qualify and then you oversight the supply chain and that.
No. These are technical inspections, and they are coming from that reason that STUK is a pressure vessel authority. That's the reason for those 10,000 inspections per year.
So on the top of that, we still may have the procurement-related inspections and all.
Yeah, they are another side, but this is a huge amount of work to be done. So our inspectors, they are traveling a lot. So some words about international practices. In some countries, the regulator does almost everything in-house. So maybe some part of the work is done by external organizations. On the other hand, there are organizations, regulators, which most of the review and inspection work are ordering from external organizations. And Eberhard, you mentioned that in Germany this is quite, your regulator is using a lot of external organizations.
Yes. Primarily 99.5%.
Okay, so you can see there are some differences between this. Okay. I have one example coming from Europe. MENRA, it's a Western European Nuclear Regulators Association, has performed a study about this, how organizations are using technical support organization, TSOs. Not the technical support organization, but inspection organization. Sorry for that. So you can find this if you are interested from internet. This document. And the results of this study were like all those 11 countries, European countries, participated in this study. They confirmed that the responsibility of the safety is within the license holder, not the regulator. All those countries also see it necessary that, for example, safety class 1 components are inspected by the regulator, not inspection organization. Okay, but there are these previous. There are different, lot of variation in the inspection and quality practices between regulators. When we are discussing about steel and concrete structures, I don't know what is the reason for this, but maybe it's coming from that pressure vessel authority idea. Please. Then one issue is that all those countries participating in this study, they have hold points in their inspection practices.
So do you understand what the witness points and the hold points are?
You understand that. Hold point is it stops the work in the factory, and the component manufacturing of the component is waiting for the inspections performed by the regulator or all the inspection. Nothing happens. It is hold point. The work stops there, waiting for the inspection, and approved inspection result. And after that, the manufacturing back and continues. That's the meaning of hold. And normally regulator put those hold points, all hold points in the inspection plan. Okay, please, next one. Okay, this is a proposal how to use TSOs and IOs by the regulator. So there has to be some decision between regulator and inspection organization to be done. So if the work is done by an external organization, then of course the regulator organization may be thinner, not so many experts. But a new regulator has to choose its strategy between these two options. You are using your own inspectors or external inspection organizations. And that decisions have been made in a very early stage of the project or activities. Hello? Yeah, please. So what is the objective of TSOs? It's of course support the regulators' safety review work during the licensing process, and then be a platform for national research programs. And then one of the targets is to develop and maintain analytical and other tools for licensing purposes. I think this is, Pekka knows this very well, but in many cases in countries the national TSO is a part of university or an independent national research center. In Germany it's like this. Yeah. Because we use German organizations for our tasks.
Of course, there are universities with high experience in non-destructive testing, in material science. If they are qualified or accepted world-class institutes, it's normally it's an institute independent from the university, but mainly close link or even located in India.
Yeah, and those organizations, they are very high-level organizations. Yes. So something about how we used TSOs in ongoing pre-construction projects. The main, as you can see here, main TSOs were of course Technical Research Center of Finland, and then some Lappeenranta Technical University also in Finland, but then there are two German organizations, Institute for Safety and Reliability and Gesellschaft für Anlagen- und Reaktorsicherheit. They were coming from Germany, German organizations, and they did a heavy work on the pre-project. I can show you what were the main issues with those organizations. Please, next one. So, VTT, this Technical Research Center here in Finland, carried out the main part of our safety analysis, and they are listed, some of those are listed here. This next one. And Lappeenranta University performed cold melt coolability experiments, and these two German organizations, they reviewed, for example, airplane crashes. And then we have a lot of, it was not a cooperation with French authorities. So some conclusions, main ideas. This is fact that the regulator needs external support, whatever it is. So outsourcing is recommended for disciplines with which are highly specific. And also not use only national, but also international organizations. it gives you, it helps you with the decision-making process to have a different kind of feedback or ideas. Yeah. So, as I mentioned, ESO can be a part of university or some independent research and national. Okay, I think that was all I wanted to say. Do you have any questions? Please.
My question is on the conflict of interest between the TSO and maybe the licensee. To what extent do you measure conflict of interest? Is it that the staff of the TSO should not be engaged anywhere close to what the licensee is doing? Or how do you measure the extent of conflict of interest?
So, this is the question of independence. Yeah. So, TSO shall have nothing to do with the licensing, nothing. If that was your idea.
My question is, let's say we have a university here. Say SNAS. We are training human resource for nuclear power in Ghana. And then there are, let's say, the nuclear engineering department, they have the capability to help with some evaluations of results that you have received from the licensee. Whilst they are training people, personnel for the licensee, are they also allowed to be able to support the regulatory body in such competitions? That's what I want to know.
Well, I think that your question is very pertinent in fact. When do you have a conflict of interest? Now, probably there would be many different answers depending, for instance, if an American person would speak to you, or a German, not Eberhard, because I consider him as, because in certain big countries you may have an idea that you need to have a completely different supply chains and the TSOs on the both sides.
Yeah.
However, please use your brain for a small country. Finland is a small country, so we don't have that luxury. The Lapper and the University of Technology, for instance, and the VTT, the Technical Research Center of Finland, they are serving both sides. However, you have to establish the hygienic rules, if I call it that way, so that the same persons cannot be doing the same work on both sides, not at the same time at least, but that's the basic principle. For instance, in Finland we have a perfect research program where the regulatory body, the TSOs and the power companies are sitting around the same table and discussing on the subject matter level about the same issues, and then they define how they would gain more information on various sources to bring in that discussion, so that the intellectual informed decisions can be made on both sides. But the decision making has to be independent of the advice that they receive. That is very important. If you maintain that the regulators make the decisions independently, and then the licensees make their decisions independently, that's important. Still, you have limited resources and you have to take that into account.
That's one of the points Pekka mentioned, that both organizations may use, for example, technical research center, but they have no possibility to use the same experts. They have to be different experts from the VTT. That's the difference. You have to remember Finland is a small country. You have limited resources.
And sometimes for instance, in a small country, you might have one or two experts only. So yeah. You have to understand, then it's quite natural that you complete this knowledge base by external experts from outside the country. But still you have to use these guys who know the best way possible in these circumstances, which means that there will be cross-fertilization among the regulatory body and the licensee. You cannot avoid that, but you have to understand so that you don't become too dependent on one source of information only.
And question was excellent. I can give you one example coming from one of the Finnish nuclear facility project. This is the disposal project. So the licensee has contract with this technical research center. And so we were not able to use VTT and the expert because there were so limited number of those experts in that organization. So we had to contact international organization. And nowadays we have a contract with, I think that more or less than 40 international experts with disposal issues, geological facility and rock engineering. They are coming mainly from international organizations. From Germany, from UK, from US and so on.
But even in Germany we have problems in that regard. Because even in Germany we have very few seismic specialists.
Yeah.
So the regulator took first these experts. No, we as operating organization, by regulations, we could not use the same experts. So we have to go to Switzerland to find somebody else. So that's reality. And to be honest, it is a question, what is your local requirement regarding it? In Germany, it's absolutely not allowed that the operating organization and the independent and the regulator use the same expert. Even by organization. Not, I'm more realistic. In newcomer countries it's difficult, okay. But for example, if your regulator set such kind of criteria, then you have to follow. And then you have to go abroad with somebody else. So then your regulator might use somebody from Japan and the operating organization.
Or from Germany.
Or from Germany, from somebody else. I'm not here for advertising. But that's a reality. And the consequence, and cost money, of course.
What are you doing with that microphone? I know. It's always you. Regulatory issues. Yeah. You have to be decontaminated. Too much radiation.
Another question is,
Okay.
is there any difference between your IOs and your TSOs? Let's say there is a TSO who can also perform the services of inspections. Do you contract it to the same organization to do both the TSO job and
No,
the IOs?
no, they are different organizations because the IOs they are technical expert organization who just only inspections, component inspections. So they are aggregated organizations performing inspections of mainly pressure vessels.
In conventional industry, they correspond to notified bodies that do inspections on. Normally, they're on the clients, so the operating organization's behalf. So these IOs just work with safety-related components normally on behalf of the regulatory authority. So that's the difference. But they are normally the notified bodies that say inspected against the IEC whatever or ISO this and that, and then they give a stamp in normal industry, including conventional power industry.
Please, I have one question. I wanted to know what form of support is there for TSOs in the power? What form of support is there with the IAEA? What form of support is there with the IAEA for the TSOs in the power? Because I know IAEA supports the regulator in a way, in terms of training, regulator in a way, in terms of training. What about the TSOs? Are there supports available for them?
If IAEA is supporting TSO.
Moderator, I think this should be the last question so that we can go to the
Not
next.
really.
No,
There's no support.
no. If I put it correctly.
There will be, by the way, there will be a document out in nuclear energy series about the role of TSOs, and this TSO report it expands the concept of the TSOs to any owner's engineering. So it's larger than originally. Originally, really the TSOs are technical support organization which are highly specialized, or if there really is a profound question or a study to be done. So these are traditionally how the TSOs are seen. So very typically national institutes, research centers and universities helping to find more information about very, very specific topics in which they have a deep and profound knowledge. But the TSOs, when you go to a nuclear project, they also have many engineering, very practical skills may be needed. Such bodies are normally known as owners, engineers who take care of the handling of the EPC contract on behalf of the owner-operator. But this report sees them, the TSOs, in the whole spectrum.
But IAEA is not considered like a TSO. We cannot act as a TSO.
The IAEA is a United Nations special agency. And it's not a TSO, it's not the universal regulator. You have to understand that once you have a temptation to ask, we like the IAEA to give us a stamp that this is good what we are doing, you are not going to get that, unfortunately. You will get advice, but it's not a world regulator, it's not a world IAEA, it's not a world TSO. Just be prepared for that when you have something that you think of sending to the agency for a stamp. Sorry guys, you are not going to get that.
And one point is good to notice also that the regulator is not a TSO. The regulator is, of course, reviewing the design of the building, getting the implementation, but not as a normal TSO. Regulator is independent organization.
Okay.
So, good morning again. And now I'm talking to a quite different aspect, that is human resource development. That follows your presentation. And I'm happy that you make the presentation first, and then I can make some reference to that. To be clear, I mentioned that my background is operating organization and that I was line manager in a nuclear power station. But besides this, since about 1980, I was heavily involved in nuclear training. First as chairman of the German utility working group for nuclear power personnel training and qualification. And then I did the same for 8 years in the IAEA as chairing the international working group for training and qualification. And I'm still working as a chair in UK in the training standards and accreditation board. So you see, I have a rather long experience in human resource development and training. So that is not only my background in operation. Okay, continue. I try to explain at that stage the role of CENEPIO and the other stakeholders, organizations in phase 2 and related HRD. I am sorry that I had only focused my slides on phase 2. After your presentation, I had in mind I should have integrated some for phase 1, because a lot of the discussion we will have now is also related more or less to phase 1. To achieve, let's say, the objective of that presentation, awareness about the key steps in phase 2. That was the goal of our that workshop. And how to establish the relevant nuclear power organization, you are in the process of doing that. And the challenges for human resource development in this relevant organization, in particular regulator and operating organization, because they are main player in particular of human resource demand in the nuclear power. And to share a little bit of methods and experience in human resource development in newcomer countries. We have quite a lot of experience in newcomer countries in regard human resource development, and by tomorrow or the day after I will report a little bit about common results in ENIR missions, and human resource development is one of the key concerns in most, not all, but in most of the new countries. And we'll share you the experience and how to overcome that. And to discuss a little bit the link, because the workshop is originally defined for management system workshop. Where is the link between the human resource development and management system? Okay, continue. First, it must be clear, and I thank you for you that you had already mentioned that it's not only the nuclear power, which is for nuclear program, and that even for the nuclear project, nuclear power plant project, you have quite a lot of stakeholders. You have to consider a human resource development. It's not only the operating organization and only the regulator. You have the TSOs already mentioned, because they need, of course, they need expertise, nuclear expertise. Even more sometimes than the operating organization is understanding. And you have the R&D facilities in a country. You have to provide them with human resources. You have educational and training institutes. That means you need your own resources to be able to train people. You have the industry, and industry is a broad scope. Today, I am only talking about nuclear power plant related industry, but you have more medical and other industry for material testing and whatever. So you have mining, often in the mining industry, you have the people dealing with security, they need human resources, with nuclear knowledge, and all this kind of organization dealing with safety. That means it's a broad scope. And it is important that would be the demand for phase one, that the country in a very early phase, that means in phase one, develop a strategy how to supply this kind of organization. That's the principal idea here about the national program. And that means you have only one choice. Yeah? You have to ask this kind of organization what is their demand in which discipline, and if you go in a newcomer country, you go to these organizations, they are not existing. So you cannot ask. That's the problem. The real problem for the national strategy. That means there is no way in a very early phase to look around the world. I mentioned that also yesterday, that you get a rough figure from countries who had already nuclear power program. What is the first realistic approach? What kind of people this organization is? With what quality, with what education, and with what kind of training and what qualification? There is no way out. And that is not an easy job. I agree. And we cannot be perfect. So that means the first estimation in phase one is, it's not scientific precise, cannot be, it cannot be. So it must be rough estimates, and what is important that you lay down in a document what was your expectation, what are the rationales behind your, that somebody can follow your way of thinking and can review that. And when we go to the countries, we never find this approach. We never find this in phase one or even in phase two. That means the rationale behind your expectation, how many people you train, in which discipline, is never laid down somewhere. Do you have such a document? On the national level? I ask you. No. But it's not, don't be worried. It's normal. In many of the countries we have the same problem. So that means that is one of the first, and when we come for the India mission, maybe later this